Yo, you know who it is. I'm back again. Uh, we got another cam. As you can see, daytime. I would have thrown the LEDs if it was nighttime, but it's not. And the daytime always like fucks it up. Like it's always a little too bright. It's always a little too bright. Anyway, we got another cam. Not everyone needs a podcast. I know I'm a bit late, like by 2 months, 2 months. But shit, we're gonna lock in. Anyway, y'all remember 2024? Y'all remember, like, podcast was taking over. You couldn't scroll down TikTok, YouTube Shorts, Instagram without seeing a TikTok, without seeing a podcast clip. It was taking over 2024 for like a good long hot minute. We all remember that. Oh, yeah, I'm turning my fan over here because it's hot. See, the struggles of wearing a hoodie with a shiesty. Oh yeah, you see, I fuck with the gray. I fuck with the gray and the black. I'm not just gonna go black on black like I'm opium. But we about to hop straight into it. Go ahead, drop a like, subscribe. The original video gonna be in the description. You already know how I do it. Even though I don't get money views, I still like to put credit. So let's jump straight into the video. If I can.
You have one good conversation with your homies, that does not.
Hold on. We start.
Look,
We
I'm
start
gonna
the
be
whole
the one
video.
to say it. Just because you have one good conversation with
Let
your
me turn up the
homies,
volume.
that does not mean that you need to start a podcast. I'm tired of dudes talking about aliens once, then thinking that they have the right to buy a Shure SM7B from Best Buy. Now they got a podcast called Alien Talks that's just uninteresting and dry. The host sucks, the friends suck, and even the podcast name sucks. You're not the next Joe Rogan, bro. Put the mic down and put the fries in the bag. Someone's gotta say it. Remember that one relative that told you that you weren't making it to the NBA when you were like 5 years old? Just think of me as that. Hey, everyone needs a little bit of tough love in their life. Not everyone can be nice in this world. And I'm gonna be the boogeyman here saying how your podcast sucks and your friends are boring. Maybe you should think twice before you take that trip to Best Buy. See, the problem is that this world is way too nice now. And now we have podcast clips of dudes talking about how they want their mothers to have good sexual experiences.
Huh?
I love my mom. I
Yeah.
want her to come. I don't know if this is weird to say, but I want my mom to have flawless experiences.
How do you
Buddy, that is 100% weird to say. I think we can all agree on that. Like, imagine you in a conversation, you're just like, yo, bro, I don't know if it's weird, but like, I want my mom to just come. Like, I want her to come. And I want her to have a flawless sexual experience because she's my mom. Nigga, that sounds crazy to hear. That sounds like what? You want your mom. I don't personally, me, I don't want to hear nothing about my mom's sexual experience. I don't want to hear nothing about it. That's just common sense. Why the fuck would I want to hear about my mom coming flawlessly and like she's having a flawless like fabulous sexual experience? Like, no, I don't want to hear nothing about that. Oh shit, my bad. Full screen, full
do
screen,
not know if that's weird to
full screen.
say? Like, oh my gosh, I want my mom to have
Exactly.
great sexual experience. That is weird.
I
I want my
want you
mom
to
to
have
come.
that.
Yeah,
And I want
Huh?
you to have that as well. So it's like, is that weird to say? I
Yes.
genuinely want my mom to be getting down good.
I'm gonna give you some tough love right here. You know, this is
That is
gonna be the
weird to say.
toughest love that you've ever felt. This
That is
love
weird
is
to
gonna be
say.
tougher than a well done.
I know y'all probably can't see me that well because the bad quality camera. I bought a new mic. I'm gonna buy a new camera pretty soon. Yeah. But look at me. Look at me when I say this. Okay, I'm gonna need you to look deep in my eyes. That is weird to say. It is not normal. You want your mom to come. It's not normal for you to say that.
Mistake. You need to stop podcasting, bro. I'm
Exactly.
sorry. Never in my life have I ever thought about my mom having good sexual experiences. Y'all are just odd human beings.
It's
What
weird
even
to
sparks
even
this
think about.
conversation? Like, how do you even get to this point? And why was this
You gotta
video
be
even
talking to
uploaded to
Quagmire
the
to be able to
masses,
get to this
bro? We
point.
need to start telling people no more often. You know what, man? I'm thinking about starting a podcast. No, bro,
No.
put the mic down. At this point, it needs to be easier to buy an RPG.
Hey yo, I could start a podcast. I could start a podcast. I got a couple like friends I could call over. We just be talking and shit. I'm not gonna lie. The conversation will be like kind of like really thrown around. First, second, we could be talking about cars, then something wild, and then talking about how fucking Miss Smith class is the worst class ever.
from a gun store than it is to buy a microphone from Best Buy. Because I promise you, if there were background checks for mics, we would be nowhere near this point. It feels like everyone has a podcast nowadays. And when I say everyone, I mean everyone. NBA players, rappers, children. The Hawk Tua girl just started a
We
podcast called
know.
Talk Tua. Don't get me wrong, shout out to her for running
Let me
up a
talk
bag
to
off
you.
that
Let
one
me talk
phrase,
to
you
you.
know? I saw that she got 30K for popping out to a club a few weeks ago. Like, kudos to her, you know? I'ma clap it up for her. But why would I
No,
want to hear
do
that
not
woman
clap.
speak for 2 hours straight each week about current events in her life? I mean, for crying out loud, she got famous for talking about how she spits on the pee-pee. Why am I supposed to care about what this woman has
Gotta
to
give him that
say? Does
hawk.
she really need a
You
podcast for saying
know what I'm
hawk
saying?
to and spit on that thing? You get me? The world could go without a podcast from this woman. You know what? Maybe I'm just hating. You know, maybe why
Hey, I hear what you're saying, but either that or do you rather her start a OF? I'm just saying, I'd rather her start a podcast and me have to not listen to it than hear her hear her make a OF and join the Bop House or something. I'd
don't I
rather
just
not.
check out one episode?
Can't do it as good as
Do
Haley.
it.
You do it.
No, you do it.
Hot to.
There
You gotta put like an emphasis on it, like tuh. You know, like really. Yeah.
That
Say it,
meme
all
is
right,
so
all together.
old. It's not
Tuh.
funny.
Hot
to. Hot to.
Say it aggressive, like
Hot
really.
to.
Oh my god, I'm dying of laughter.
You stop. What you?
Hilarious. Hilarious. Hilarious, guys. W podcast.
After watching one episode of
So
the
funny.
Talk to a podcast, I wanted to announce that I am quitting YouTube and becoming a full-time neurosurgeon, astronaut, and monk, all because of this podcast. This is one of the
Hey.
most enlightening podcasts that I have ever watched, and I just wanted to say thank you,
Why is it
Hawk
dial on
Tua
the bottom
girl,
so I,
for
like,
opening
make
my
a
third
switch?
eye and
Like,
helping me evolve as a
I can
human
mute it.
being with your phenomenal podcast. I really appreciate you. All jokes aside, no hate to her. She's just capitalizing off her opportunity like any other human being would in her
Common
position.
sense.
But overall, I just don't think there's anything really interesting about
Don't
this
put that shit
woman
on my
that
feed.
sets her apart from all these other podcasts out there. Yeah, she may be able to get some great guests on there because the podcast is connected to Better, which is a sports media company co-owned by Jake Paul. But at the end of the day, like, the
wonder
guests
if
can
Jake
only
Paul.
carry her so
I'm not
far,
surprised.
you know? Like I said, there's not much interesting about this woman. She got famous for saying how she spits on the nutsack, you feel me? But like I said, she's just capitalizing off of a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Podcasts, after all, aren't the hardest thing to do. Podcasting is one of those things that I believe is easy to start, but hard to master. The bare minimum is to get a few mics, sit down with some friends, record, chat for a little bit, and boom, you got a podcast. Like, it's not that hard. And if you
That
already have
easy.
an audience, it makes creating a
What type of shit?
podcast even easier. Because if the audience you've garnered cares to watch you for like maybe a few seconds or a few minutes each day, they'll for sure listen to you talk for about 2 hours each week. So it makes sense to why so many people are starting podcasts nowadays. But like the title says, not everyone needs one. While some of them are good, some just feel like people talking just to talk. Like, I wouldn't even call some people's
Understandable.
podcast a podcast. I'd rather call it mic terrorism. The other day, I saw a podcast clip of two dudes talking about lefty loosey, righty tighty being the
Huh?
greatest invention of all time.
Lefty loosey righty
An invention, nigga. That's a saying. What are you talking about? An invention.
tighty is the craziest invention of man. I use that all the time. The saying lefty loosey righty tighty. 'Cause we just got a new machine. It's
Okay.
like it's called an
Are you
articulating
serious?
log loader.
Yeah,
And
what?
it sounds like my toilet paper.
Yeah.
There's forks like this that picks up a log and then it can open and close on it, and the left button opens it and the right button closes it. And I literally say to myself,
All right. So we're gonna actually have some talking, some actual commentary. For you to make a podcast, don't let that shit be dry. This conversation sounds boring as hell and dry as shit. Why would I want to hear you talk about an articulating log loader? Like, why would I care to hear you talk about this? It don't really make sense for me to care about an articulating log loader. And you're talking about how lefty loosey, righty tighty is the best invention because it helps you through with your articulating. It's not an interesting topic that I want to hear you talk about.
I'm like lefty loosey righty tighty when I need to let go or grab on. It's the lefty loosey. I might get that tattooed on myself.
Like, no offense to these two dudes at all, because they're probably great people. I could probably
No.
sit down, chop it up with them, eat a steak, and just vibe out with these dudes.
I'm
But
trying to eat
there's
some
gotta be
chicken.
something way more interesting to talk about than a saying used for when you're screwing something in. Like, what's next? Are we gonna talk about bunny ears being the best method to tie your shoes? Or maybe even schist being the best rock there is? This conversation just
Huh?
feels so bland and pointless. Like, if an alien were to imagine two
It's
human
like
beings
it feels like that they just can't. They just had to throw together a conversation to actually make their podcasting interesting. They threw this together. Personally, one thing I say, if you can do right, if you like anime, make an anime podcast. Cuddy, their debates, hot topics, bro. You can't go wrong in the anime community. Like, let's be for real. If you come up with an anime podcast, there's always something for you to do. Whether it be some nigga talking bad about an anime, some stupid, some absolutely abysmal matchups. Like yesterday, I saw Gojo versus Gear 5 Luffy. Like, let's be for real. Let's be for real. Luffy's clapping. But yeah, you can't go wrong with any anime debate. With any anime debate, there's always something good with anime.
talking, I'm pretty sure it'd think of this AI generated ass convo right here. Like, this is the product of podcasts being so easy to start up. We now have dudes talking about screwing mechanisms as a topic of interest. Like, I don't think every conversation has to be important in a podcast, but there's no way that these dudes copped some premium podcast mics, got the
Exactly.
setup and everything
You
just
know
to
that shit
talk
had to
about
cost like
lefty
$50.
loosey, righty tighty. This podcast just has no
Had
meaning at
to,
all.
at
It's
least
just yip and
50.
yap going back and forth about nothing. I swear these podcasts just get worse and worse, bro. Like, there's just too many podcasts now, and what more is there really to talk about? We gotta sit here and, like, just think for a second. What more is there really to talk about? Instead of having to get a degree for a job, people need to start getting a degree for a
Let's say for podcasts, you should more focus on your opinion based ideals. I think because with your podcast, it's more of you. You should more focus on like putting out what you think, what you see, your opinion, unlike actual like other stuff. Personally, so what you talk about it can make or break your podcast. And the way that you talk can make or break what you're trying to do. Podcasts are the perfect thing for like just be yourself talk, like how you would talk and everything.
podcast. Like, let's just be real. Like, is there really a need for
Like
a
if you're talking about
podcast
like
where
if you're talking
frat
about
dudes
something that you don't really care about, it's gonna be dry and boring.
talk about Hawk Tua?
Bro, I don't know if you heard of the Hawktua girl.
Yeah.
Sit on that thing. Bro, that blew out of proportion. Like I low-key think it got too big.
You think?
Yeah.
I don't even know if I've seen the clip, but good for her, I guess. I don't know.
No, like it's everywhere. Dude, even at like Old Town, you'll hear Hawktua remixes.
Really?
Yes.
Bro, I think it's crazy that you can like do one little thing and a clip can go viral and then all of a sudden the next day you're like a celebrity. You know what I mean?
Yes,
Like,
that's also kind of crazy.
Yo, this guy in the comment section even gets it.
But
This man
he's
said
sounds
podcast equipment
dry
should
as
cost
shit.
$1 billion. I totally agree. I'm not
That's
gonna
the
lie.
driest
Like, no offense to
conversation
these
I've
dudes,
ever
probably
heard.
some great
I'm not even gonna
people, but
cap.
I'd rather drag my balls through the hot Sahara
Oh,
desert than listen to
pause.
these frat dudes talk for 2 hours straight. You best believe I'm serving a life sentence before I listen to Jimmy and Tom from the Beta Theta Sigma frat talk on a podcast for 2 hours. Like, this podcast is just drier than a Popeye's biscuit. There is no
It
energy
is
at
dry.
all
It
to
is
this
a really dry
And you
conversation.
may be thinking, like, bro, you can't judge off of just one clip of the podcast, you know? This is every clip.
What is your favorite frat?
I don't know. I like how big SAE's parties are and like
Yeah.
Lambda, but like I think ASIG just threw a really cool party. So
Oh, I
think-
heard, dude.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Kyle was just on it. He's an ASIG.
Yeah. It was a
That's
really
dope.
good party.
This podcast just
Yeah. It was a really good frat party. Whatever ASIG, I think she talked about. ASIG was such a big fire frat party. Nigga, I don't care. Nigga, like, let's be honest. Like, I don't give not one F about ASIG's frat party. Like, come on now. You gotta pick something that at least most people would be interested in hearing about. Raise your hand if you care about the frat parties that's happening at ASIG right now. And ASE. and ABB and whatever they're called. Cause I know I don't give a fuck. I don't care. So I said anime, bro. Can't go wrong. Like 99% of people love anime.
Sucks. This convo just sounds so generic and bland.
Boring,
No energy at
boring,
all.
straight
Just, what's your
buns.
favorite frat? I like SAA. They're bag. Oh my god, I heard Kyle's there. Like, get this off the airways, bruh. Like, what did Joe Budden say?
That shit is a 2-pack of ass.
I
That shit is
genuinely
a two
wish
pack
I
of
could
ass.
take back
Straight
the few
garbage.
seconds of my life I wasted watching that podcast
Straight
clip
garbage.
because now I just feel 10x dumber than what I was before. I feel like one of the keys to a great podcast is an entertaining host because there's gonna be boring parts to a podcast, and it's up to the host to make that podcast interesting when it's getting dry. But the problem with this podcast is that the host has the personality of a raw chicken wing. So when he talks
Raw
about
chicken
boring
wings,
topics,
crazy. Personally, you gotta be a pretty good at talking. Like you gotta be a pretty good host. If your conversations are getting boring, you gotta be able to spice that shit up. You gotta be able to go ahead and put some salt on there, spice that shit up, put some seasoning. You gotta make that shit fire. If it's not, it's gonna be boring and bland, and nobody's gonna care about it. Joe Rogan, perfect example. Also, because I know not no other podcast but Joe Rogan and talk to Joe Rogan fire. Every clip I pop up, he always talking about something interesting. I may have never actually tuned in to his podcast, but shit, it put the thought into my mind from time to time.
and he's also boring, that just makes the podcast 10 times more boring. Another problem with everyone starting a podcast is that some people don't believe that they need to do proper research before they record. Like a little bit ago on Twitch, there was this streamer named Jason the Ween who hit
Him?
100,000 subscribers, you know? He was number 2 on Twitch for his amount of subscribers in that month. And then there was this shitty TikTok podcast called the 949 Podcast that decided to give their opinion on the whole situation. And no, they're not really knowledgeable when it comes to this whole streaming space. So this was their take.
Streaming is the new wave. It's
It
because
is.
Yeah.
it's just. But the thing is, it's the new wave because of clips.
Exactly.
Like
Nigga,
Jason the
what?
Ween, he guess how many live viewers he has. Just guess.
Depends on the time.
Just guess.
Like
you guys
5K?
guess. Well, how many live viewers do you think he got?
Like
I
like 3K?
3K. So like he's like a number 2, or I guess like. Well, he has like around 15 to 20.
That's W. That's W
The most
numbers.
loved
What is he
mods
on
of
about?
2024 are now free. Go completely
Okay, buddy.
undetected by police in GTA.
Oh.
Oh wow.
Nigga, that is W numbers.
Pretty
What are you talking
good.
Think
about?
about it, like that's not that good in terms of like views.
Nigga, what? Cuddy, Cuddy, Cuddy. You know how hard it is to have people log in live to streams? I have a Twitch account. I don't even bro, I've never watched a stream live. Never. Never. You know how hard it is to have even like 10,000 people log into a stream. He had about 15K on his stream. That's 15,000 people watching his stream around the world. Come on now. Come on now. I think he's just hating. He gotta be just hating. There's no way he just said that.
That's true,
I feel
but
like
live,
it's good for
Live is
live.
good,
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's good for live, but think about the people in the world. It's only 15K.
15K,
So that's what I'm saying. Streaming is not.
Cuddy. Good. Good. These niggas on TikTok, right? Shit. I don't actually have TikTok, so I'm gonna have to like look it up online and then go there because I'm not downloading TikTok. Shit, it's about to be deleted anyway, hopefully. Now, what's their podcast? The 949 podcast? The 949 podcast, right? Fuck it. I can't get on TikTok actually. How many views do 70. It says. I'm looking at Instagram right now. About 77K followers. Like in terms of the world, bro, that's ass. Like in terms of the world right now, that's garbage, bro. Like y'all are fumbling. Like y'all gotta think from the whole world perspective. That's like straight dookie. Y'all are not him.
Like a mainstream thing.
Big,
Yeah,
big,
it's only
yeah.
mainstream because of the clips that they put out after,
Yeah,
which
right.
get millions and millions of views.
Right.
But no one's actually watching that shit live.
Yeah.
I agree with what he's saying a little bit. I mean, like, trust me, in terms of some streams, I wouldn't know who half of these streamers are without the clips. But that's what makes people actually go watch the stream, though. Cause think about it. If you have a, if you watch a clip of someone, say you never knew who Casanat was, and you see his stream and he bopping, he going crazy, you gonna tune into that. So he over here spitting dumbassery about bull on straight bull. Cause even if the clips get millions of views, people are still gonna sometimes most people are gonna log into the stream to see, okay, I gotta check out this person. Cause on the clips he was fire. So in real life in on the stream he gotta be lit.
Yeah. No, literally, bro.
There's a few things that piss me off about this Dookie TikTok
Exactly.
podcast. Number one, this man is
Exactly.
saying streaming is only big because of clips. Yeah, because nobody's gonna sit there and watch an 8-hour stream front to
I'm not
back, you
doing that.
f***ing idiot. So to make
I'm
it
not
more
doing that.
digestible
No.
for the average viewer,
I don't have the attention span.
streamers and their audiences make clips so that more people can see their streams. What's so bad about that? Another thing this man says is 15K live viewers isn't good views because the clips get millions of views. That's how the internet works. And 15K is good because it puts him in the top 0.1%.
Like think of like a one time stream from Casanat versus a video he posted like 10 days ago. Of course the video gonna get more views.
Of streamers. Like, why is it surprising that a live stream has less views than a TikTok video? Are we becoming this slow in society where we can't
I'm
comprehend that
not.
a live stream that you have to watch live has less views than a video where you can watch whenever? This dude knows
Exactly.
nothing about what he's talking about. He's just saying a hot take because
Straight
he has
talking,
a mic in his face
talking
with the
straight
cameras on.
dumbassery.
This
Straight
podcast
talking.
just sounds like one
Just
huge
straight.
gossip session. That's the problem with a lot
Yeah.
of these podcasts.
Straight, yeah.
Some of them are just gossip sessions. Another situation of a podcast host not knowing what they're talking about is this one right here. So
The
a
Need
little
to Know
bit ago, there's a
podcast.
situation with Kai Sanat, right? He had a cameraman
Oh yeah,
that was
his
talking
Chris
to an
Chris
underage
V.
girl. And this podcast decided to put out their take on it because, hey, it was a fresh topic. Why don't we say something about it, you know? Why don't we do it for the clicks and engagement? And this is what they had to say.
Kai Sanat, everybody can't go.
This
You
the
need
fucked
to
up
start
part, though.
looking around. And I know, like, black people specifically, when you get some success, you want to bring everybody
The whole
with you.
crew.
But you got to be able to kind of weed that shit out. I
Right.
should know who Chris V is. I should know who Chris Next Door is.
But Chris Next Door is
What?
literally
What are you talking about? Okay, he about to piss me off. What do you mean I shouldn't know who Chris Next Door is? He's an AMP member. Ooh, I almost just called him a reason. Bro, he's a fucking AMP member. Now I understand. I shouldn't know who Chris V is. That nigga's the fucking cameraman. I shouldn't know who he is. But for the rest of AMP, should 100% know who he is.
an AMP member. What do you mean that you shouldn't know who
Know
he
who he
is?
is? Like
I should know
what?
who Kai Sanat is because you are the driving force in it. But them I shouldn't even know who they are.
I think it's important to highlight that Chris Next Door is an AMP member. If you guys don't know what AMP is, that is Kai Sanat's group.
That's the problem. Kai Sanat shouldn't have a group.
Kai Sanat joined
Listen, that join them later. Am I tweaking? Like, am I off a perk or something? Because I know for a fact, Casanat joined them later. Like, all these niggas been at AMP longer than Kai, right?
the group before he became this huge mega streaming machine. This
Like,
dude
yeah, they were all bigger than him. They were all bigger than Kai. Duke, Agent, definitely. I know for a fact, Agent was definitely bigger. Duke, I think so. Chris, I don't really know about Chris. I don't know really much about Chris Next Door. Phantom, okay, he wasn't. I don't think he was bigger than Kai, but he was still like a little. He was still ahead. But like, what? Oh my god, this nigga's stupid.
dude dude knows nothing about what he's talking about. He's just saying a hot take because he's on a podcast.
That's how they got on.
Yeah.
Having a team and making it with your team is very important. But if
What?
there are problematic people
What's he
in
talking
there, kick them out immediately.
But
yes.
you gotta know when you are the one, like he is the one. I get it.
So he should
cool.
abandon everybody?
Yes.
He did not do this alone. Like, there was a journey of.
First of all, horrible friend. He's a horrible friend. I don't care how popular I get. I am not leaving my homies in the dust. So first of all, he's a horrible friend. Second of all, again, Kai is not the driving force of AMP. He may be a big influence in AMP. Don't get me wrong there. Don't get me wrong for what I'm saying or what I'm spitting. He's a big influence in AMP, but as far as the driving force, there's still Duke, shit, Phantom. There's still Chris, still Agent. Like there's still fire AMP members, especially Duke and Phantom. Like, come on now.
Of a camp of
They
them.
came together.
And I agree, like, this problematic person, this person that was underage girls, he has
He was
to
the
go.
cameraman. He was the cameraman. He wasn't a part of AMP.
Cut ties.
Now that we are here, and it's the second, third, however many times something like this has happened, what does he do moving forward? Because now it can't keep happening. You have to insulate yourself because at the end of the day, that group doesn't mean anything without him.
That is cap because everyone actually grew
Oh my
themselves
God,
before
he
they were
making me
in
mad,
AMP.
bro.
That's why it works
What
so
is he
well as a
on
group
about?
because everyone had their own platform before
Exactly.
joining, except for Chris. He kind of created his platform.
Oh, he was an
after,
editor.
but he was
He
still
was an
pretty
editor
known.
before
But this
joining
guy just
AMP.
knows
Okay.
nothing about what he's talking about, and this is my problem with so many of these podcasts. Like, if you're gonna put out a statement on any current topic, you got to do the research to back it up. Or you're gonna end up looking like an idiot. You can't just go in willy-nilly on something that you know nothing about. That's why
Exactly.
a lot of bigger podcasts like Joe Rogan have someone who can fact check, which is Jamie on his podcast. And if you can't afford someone to be in that spot, you should just look it up yourself before you put out this idiotic take.
Before you start
on
talking
something
straight
you know nothing about.
dumbassery.
Like, there's a difference between a hot take and just a bad and uneducated take. And this right here is what I consider an uneducated take because he just lacks the knowledge on what he's talking about. I like how some people on the podcast are like trying to tell him like, yo,
Oh yeah, like
it's
he
not
tried,
like this.
like the dude tried to tell him, like, okay, so Chris next door is an AMP member, which is why, which like he's in a group, and then he says that Castanet shouldn't have a group. Now, can I just say one thing? Castanet is fire on his own, but I think we all love the days when Phantom come busting down the door looking for some food. We all love when the AMP members are all in the stream with Kai and everything. Like that's part that we know of the stream. Like him cutting them off. First off, Kai would be a horrible friend. Second, it'll lose that touch for me. That touch for me. I like that touch where the AMP members can just come in Kai's room and just chill for like 2 seconds and then go back to their room while he's on stream. Like it's fire. It's fire.
It's kind of like this, but he just doesn't want to listen. He just decides to be ignorant. I
He's a
swear,
dummy.
some
He's
people
dumb.
just get a mic in
Ignorant.
their
He's
face and their
ignorant.
brains just go to mush. They don't know what they're talking about. I seen a dude the other day talking about how you need to stop wearing Nike socks with shoes for no reason at all, just because he said so.
Stop wearing Nike socks with shoes, bro, or a designer shoe. Even if you wear Nike socks with some Air Force Ones, just stop doing that, bro.
What are you on
I'm
about?
sorry, bro. I just can't see nobody wear no Nike socks with a pair of shoes, bro. Like, what are you doing? My opinion, I think that's crazy.
What are your socks?
Nigga, who just goes around looking at my socks? Okay.
Have to do with
Hurry up in
anything on
this
your
video
fit.
because
I
I'm about to get
understand if somebody
pressed.
says
I'm
stop
about to be
wearing a
pressed.
Nike shirt with Adidas pants, like that does.
Exactly. That's the whole shit. I said that like 7 times. That's crazy. Like wearing Nike with Adidas pants. I can't lie. I used to do that. But like what wearing Nike with like Adidas pants and like different brand shirts, different brand clothes. It's crazy. It's wild. But like as far as socks, does that really matter? It's not like someone's gonna come up and say, "Yo, dope socks." It's not like someone's gonna walk beside you and say that. They might say, "All right, shit, them kicks kind of fire," but they're not gonna say something about your socks.
Kind of makes sense, but stop wearing Nike socks with shoes. Why?
Crazy.
Why don't you tell us
Crazy.
why? Why? I think think people got to realize it's fine to have conversations without
Shit.
them being recorded. You know, we need to
My
start
bad.
stripping cameras and microphones away from society. Everyone has a voice, but not
Oh, not
everyone's
me.
voice
I'm
needs to be
fire.
heard. And since
As
this
far as I
is a
know, I'm
video
fire.
about podcasts, there's another thing I got to get on my chest, bro. Alpha Male Podcast. This
Oh my
podcast
god.
format,
Red pill, blue pill podcasts. Women are just women. Women are just this and that. The at whatever podcast.
honestly just needs to retire, bro. Like, when I
Blah,
tell
blah, blah.
you, these
Some of those clips be
podcasts
funny
are
though.
one of the
Some of those
worst
clips be
things
funny
to
though.
ever hit the internet. Because after these podcasts hit, all people would argue about is who was worse, women or men.
Exactly.
I hate this whole
Exactly.
argument because can we all just agree
It's all
that men
stupid.
do bad things and so do
I'm just gonna say this one thing. You shouldn't hate the entire gender of men because one nigga cheated on you. Personally, I'm not a cheater. I can say that full knowingly, full well. I'm not a cheater. I'm loyal, straight loyalty. And why are we just why do both women and men why are we acting like children, bro? Why are we arguing about which gender's better? That's like something that you do in kindergarten, bro. Y'all are acting like kids. Y'all are acting like children for no reason. It's dumb.
women. Men
Said that in
lie
my
and
first
women lie.
video.
Are we done
Stupid.
now? Like, I hate this whole format of podcasts. But yeah, not everyone should have a podcast. Don't just think because you have one good conversation with your homie that you now need this full Joe Rogan podcast setup. No, you don't need that
Don't
at
do
all.
that.
You don't even need a podcast, bro. What you need is a muzzle. But all that being said, this is gonna wrap up the video. If you guys made this far, I appreciate you. Twitch Cameron WAK, Discord link in the description. If you guys enjoyed this video, then I highly recommend you guys check out my most recent video. It'll be right up here on the screen. All that being
Alright, that's the end of the video. That's the end of his video. I still got to yap for a little bit. Anyway, yeah, that's personally my thoughts on everything. I think it's stupid how that nigga was just straight yapping about AMP and how constant that's the driving force of it. I don't know. He was straight yap. Straight yap. Anyway, personally, yeah, that's the end of the video. Thank you for my 6 subscribers. Go ahead, hit that like, hit that subscribe. you know, just help me. I love it. Hit that like, subscribe, and yeah, that's the end. Thank you very much for watching, taking time out of your day. I love all you.